It's 10 p.m. in Banjul. This is the news first, the headlines. The African Union recognizes and rewards the Gambia's efforts against Ebola with an award presented at the end of the Continental Body's conclave in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Drivers and commuters alike welcome government's decision to reduce the price of petroleum products. African Union leaders vote to mothball plans to deploy 5,000 troops to Burundi and opt to dispatch a delegation to discuss the next step forward. And Moscow calls claims by Ankara that a Russian warplane has again violated Turkey's airspace baseless propaganda. These and other stories coming ahead in this half hour. I am MOMODOU. Prior to the closing ceremony of the 26th Ordinary Session of the African Union, the continental body took time to recognize the efforts of individuals, organizations, and member states in the fight against the Ebola pandemic that affected Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. The Gambia, under the leadership of the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Ejeje Jammeh Babili Mansa, was singled out for its financial support in the fight against the outbreak, which killed thousands of people. It could be recalled that Professor Jammeh gave $1 million to the governments of Guinea and Sierra Leone to enable them control and finally eradicate the disease at a time when they were struggling to contain it. At a ceremony attended by heads of state and government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Nene Magdulgay, received the award on behalf of President Jammeh. The African Union chairperson, Dr. Nkozana Lamina Zuma, thanked the Gambian government and president for the act of African solidarity and brotherhood, which eventually helped in the control and total eradication of the disease in the affected countries. We hope to bring you more on that impressive development in subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Ejeje Jammeh Babili Mansa and delegation will return to Banjul from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Monday morning at 9 a.m. All those invited to receive the head of state and delegation are therefore requested to be at the Banjul International Airport at least half an hour before arrival for the usual airport ceremonies. Drivers and commuters alike have been reacting positively to government's unexpected decision to reduce the pump prices of petrol, diesel, and kerosene by 8.5%, 12.4%, and 14.0% respectively, with effect from tomorrow, Monday, 1st February 2016. GRTS's Farmer Kanyi was out and about to gauge reactions, and he now reports.
Been hugely anticipated, for the prices of petroleum products have been rising because of market forces. A similar development was reported in the sub-region recently, thereby sending expectations for the same type of development in the Gambia sky high. The price of fuel has a huge impact on almost all aspects of life. A reduction, therefore, is expected to be greeted with joy.
About it as a van driver, and as well as most Gambians also will be happy about it, because of it will help at least ease some problems, especially people going to work and also, private drivers as well.
The subsidies is every year, it's escalated, but if things are getting down, then that means it's a very good idea.
For this man who uses a commercial vehicle on a daily basis, the reduction could not have come at a better time. He thanked government for the intervention that has the potential to benefit even those on the margins of society. The reduction will take effect on Monday, 1st February, but one issue that cropped during the numerous conversations I had whilst preparing the report was whether transport fares are going to be reduced. For GRTS News, I am Farmer Kanyi.
Gambia International Airlines has joined the growing list of public bodies that successfully sailed through the annual scrutiny of the audited accounts, activity reports, and financial statements of state-owned enterprises and agencies. Winifred Nicole reports.
It's been a busy few weeks for the PACPEC committees of the National Assembly. and that is set to continue as more public corporations and institutions filed in to present their audited reports to the joint committees. Officials of the Gambia International Airlines were next to come face-to-face with deputies at the National Assembly chambers in Banjul. The process witnessed a lively question and answer session, as deputies raised some very important points regarding to the operations of the national carrier.
Over the years, NJIE has been very well in terms of Hajj operations. Most of the Gambians who travel with NJIE are very pleased with the services that you offer. But, Honorable Chair, the issue of quota that they give to the Gambian government or to the Gambian, to our country, to me, I think is too small.
As a representative institution, for us the profit we see and look into and proclaim every time is the integration of the people, particularly the sub-region of West Africa. I think we are very interested as a parliament in the integration and going and coming of people who belong to the same sub-region. And today you have mentioned a collaboration you are doing with an airline to target a number of countries that are Anglophone so that you can make traveling easy between those countries. Now see, are you not seeing a friction between the interests of traveling and making people, better integrate? Now, who do you think is the business of, making traveling easy within the sub-region? Is it airlines or governments, executives?
It was an important interface, and the NAMs wasted no time to find answers to issues of critical importance to the running of the Gambia International Airlines.
I have seen significant increase in the salaries, allowances. The salaries have increased from 14 million to 21 million, allowances from 15 million to 18 million. 50% increment on the salaries and 20% increment on the allowances. Honorable Chair, I'm not saying they should not increase their salaries, but then I think increment in salaries should be based on the enterprise's performance and profitability.
But GIA's relentless pursuit of its institutional goals, as highlighted in its report, which included capacity building training program for staff and improvement on service delivery, were highlighted as important developments undertaken by the GIA. The NAMs subsequently endorsed the 2014 activity report and audited financial statement presented by the officials of the Gambia International Airlines. Reporting for Grts News, I'm Winifred Nicole.
Members of the women's wing of New Yundum and Sujame Kafo recently completed a week-long training devoted to tie-dye and batik. The training, expected to arm the beneficiaries with skills to set up their income-generating ventures, was funded with a livelihood grant provided by the Community Infrastructure and Livelihood Improvement Project, SILIP. Babakar Senghor tells us more.
The 7-day training on tie and dye and batik for the women of New Yundum Women Group was funded by the Livelihood Grant of the Community Infrastructure and Livelihood Improvement Project under the GAMWorks with support from the Brikama Area Council and the West Coast Region Community Development Office. The sub-project is the second phase that the group has benefited from, and its main objective is to create self-employment skills and to eradicate poverty among women and youths. Adam Bojan, Director of Planning and Development at the Brikama Area Council and the focal person for the Technical Review Advisory Committee for the SILIP project for West Coast Region, explains how the project is being implemented.
So after the review, all Yundum happened to be one of the luckiest group, and they were given a sum of $189,000 to their account. But we don't force any community to take up any activity or a project which they want. It's a bottom-up approach. They came up with an activity that they want tie and dye. So what we did was to pay the money directly to their account, and then we link them to community development, being community facilitators. They provide them with trainers, and then with the budget attached to the training.
She also commended the group for the level of seriousness they demonstrated during the course of the training and urged them to make good use of the expertise. CDC of the Community Development Office, who also served as a trainer, said 47 communities have benefited from this SLEEP project. After helping these women undergo this important training, she expresses his impression of the outcome of the week-long exercise.
I'm really impressed because I have trained so many groups, both within the combos and the phonies. But New Yundum is one of the few groups that I can attest to. Like, they can really do the work at the end of the training with little supervision.
President of the New Yundum, Ansu Jame Women Kafo, Aja Boris Sonko, expressed gratitude to the SLEEP project. She further thanked the Brikama Area Council and the Community Development Office of West Coast Region for facilitating the training. Madam Sonko assured their benefactors of their willingness to share the knowledge gained with the rest of the community. Wandifa Drame, Acting Regional Community Development Officer, and Salimatu Jame, Women's Programs Supervisor at the Community Development Office West Coast Region, board supervisors of the training, hailed the participants for their commitment to the training. Speaking on behalf of the participants, the Secretary of the CAFO, Joko Kamara, said the exercise is a great achievement for the women, which she added will improve their skills and add value to their lives. She took the opportunity to thank the organizers for initiating such projects, especially for the women and youth. In a bid to showcase their newfound skills, the women demonstrated what they have learned during the training. The impressive products are the results of the valuable training received by these women. For Grts News, this is Babukar Senghor.
National Environment Agency, the Upper River Region Governor's Office and Basse Area Council on Saturday combined efforts to remove a huge rubbish heap that used to pose a risk to people living nearby. Janke Ture witnessed the exercise and she now reports.
There is solid evidence linking a clean environment to health, and at least in the case of the Gambia, the bi-weekly national clean-up exercise dubbed Settle has been credited with reducing the incidence of diseases like malaria. But despite those gains, the problem of illegal dump sites still persists. Organizers were expecting a high turnout, but news of the death of a religious leader took its toll on attendance. People living in the neighborhood did show up to clear the rubbish heaped at the famous high level.
Theater.
Everybody thanked National Environment Agency for initiating the exercise targeting the illegal dump site and highlighted the importance of a clean environment.
When we have an healthy nation, everyone will be healthy. If the nation is not healthy, people will not be healthy. And there are so many diseases that are going on. When the area is healthy, those diseases will not transmit to other people.
Ibrahim Njai, proprietor Heptari Nursery School, whose school is located near the dump site, explained the difficulties he and his pupils faced because of the scents coming from the dump site. Njai argued that people need to change their attitudes as far as their waste management is concerned.
Every day I drive through here and I see this guy being from this neighborhood. I just think it's not fair for our eyes and our health and our ears. I came with about 6 people from the States. I live in the States. And they came to help me build the school. But anytime we pass through here, some of the kids that they came with, they close their eyes. They say, this is the pile. They call it the pile, or we don't want to see the pile. I feel very embarrassed. I think we should not wait for government, and I want to put that into our neighborhood as a sample. That we don't need the government, we need ourselves. If the government see us doing something, they may give us more than what we did for a year. Jammeh is known for that. You do a good job, he give you $1 million, do more.
Keeping Basse, which is the most densely populated area in the Upper River region, clean is a bit of a challenge. But it seems the ban on plastic is having a huge impact on efforts at ensuring cleanliness.
The turnout was huge, and including so,
the streets of Basse are very clean. You can see, thanks to the initiative, His Excellency President Yaya Jammeh, his Operation Clean the Nation laudable initiative, and people are responding to that. You can even see the streets of Basse are very clean due to the ban of plastic bag that take place, and together the operation is going well.
Abdul Samadou Hydra, an environment inspector, also stressed the importance of the monthly cleansing exercise.
We only hope, the activity will continue as we expect it. Though sometimes you have to face challenges, but then these challenges lies in order to tackle them and have a better environment. Once we have a clean environment, we are expected to have a healthy nation, which obviously give healthy people. The healthy people will definitely work towards the development of the country. The development of the country cannot be done in the absence of the healthy people. And in order to acquire healthy people, there must be a healthy environment that will give them the ambience to operate and work to the expected level they are.
At least one giant rubbish heap has been cleared, but the challenge is to get people to stop using the same site to dump waste, thereby reducing the efforts put into the exercise to nothing. Janke Ture, GRTS.
Scores of Nigerians on Saturday flocked to the Joint Officers' Mess in Kotu to witness the installation of the new team at the helm of the Nigerian community in the Gambia. The new executive, as Famara Kanyi reports, has pledged to deliver to the expectations of thousands of Nigerians domiciled in the Gambia.
The newly elected 11-member executive will henceforth steer the affairs of the Nigerian community in the Gambia for a 3-year period. Although the men are in the majority, there are at least 2 female members. They are expected to do their utmost in safeguarding the interests and welfare of their fellow Nigerians, whose numbers seems to be on the increase. Mansour G. Abdul Karim thanked the government of the Gambia for ensuring a conducive environment for his compatriots to go about their business and for allowing the body representing Nigerians to do its work unhindered. Abdul Karim urged his fellow Nigerians to desist from anything illegal, but not without dilating on the dynamic activities of the thousands of law-abiding Nigerians who are contributing to the advancement of the Gambia.
Nigerians are at home in the Gambia. They go about doing their normal businesses. This is because of the prevailing security we have in the country. I will now move to the executive of the Nigerian community who organized this meeting. I am aware of the fact that the existing executive members of the community are here present. I want to seize this opportunity to thank them for a job well done.
The new president of the Nigerian community in the Gambia thanked his fellow Nigerians for manifesting the trust they have in him by electing him to the presidency and made a pledge.
My message is anchored on change in all ramifications, and I mean in all ramifications. As a team, my team came on the platform of change. We emphasized the need to change not just the leadership of the Nigerian community, but a widespread change that is meant to extend every Nigerian here in the Gambia. A change that is targeted at the physical conduct and moral fabrics of our community and individuals in the community. The change that will enhance positive bilateral relations with our host country. A change for dignity and respectable living as Nigerians in the Gambia.
The lady that oversaw the process that led to the election of the new executive stated that it is incumbent on the elected officials to serve their people, urging them to work hard and maintain a team spirit. For GRTS News, I am Famara Kanyi.
We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia after this short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. African Union leaders meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, have pushed back from sending peacekeepers to Burundi. Instead, they have voted to send a delegation to Bujumbura to discuss the proposal. The leaders' decision averts a direct confrontation with Burundi's government. The African Union had considered sending 5,000 troops in an effort to calm down the violence, but the government there had consistently opposed the idea. The WTV's Simona Flotin is following developments, and she now gives us an update.
Well, yes, the AU decided to not even put the proposal for vote to the General Assembly, which just goes to show how little confidence there is that such a proposal could pass. The AU Commissioner for Peace and Security announced that instead the AU would be sending a delegation to continue the dialogue with President Pierre Nkurunziza, who has been absolutely opposed to accepting this peacekeeping force, and who in fact didn't even attend the AU summit to discuss. This announcement constitutes a significant departure from the AU's earlier proposal to send in this peacekeeping force, regardless of whether the Burundian government accepted. So certainly a very disappointing decision. Well, it's certainly raising a lot of concern among diplomats and observers. One thing that they were at least hoping for is that the AU would somehow manage to agree on deploying more human rights observers and military observers to be able to monitor the situation on the ground. But not even that has been agreed on at the AU summit. There are currently about 10 human rights observers and 10 military observers on the ground, but they don't in fact have a memorandum of understanding that governs their mandate and are very much obstructed in doing their work. So all of this doesn't bode very well for the situation in Burundi.
Turkey has issued a stark warning to Russia after accusing Russian jets of breaching its airspace along the Syrian border. Russia dismissed Ankara's claims as baseless propaganda. The war of words comes 2 months after Turkey shot down a Russian warplane, sparking a diplomatic crisis and souring relations. We have more in this DWTV report again.
It's not the first time Turkey and Russia have been in a dispute over airspace violations along the Turkish-Syrian border. This footage from November 24th shows a Russian jet spiraling toward the ground after being shot down by Turkish F-16s. That incident led to a crash and burn effect on relations between Russia and Turkey. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said this latest development could have a serious negative impact. If Russia continues to violate Turkey's sovereignty, it will bear the consequences. Such irresponsible behavior will not contribute to improving relations between NATO and Russia or peace to the region. On the contrary, it will do harm. Erdogan says the Russian warplane violated Turkey's airspace despite several warnings. A Russian Defense Ministry spokesman called the allegation pure propaganda. Erdogan says he is seeking a face-to-face meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss the issue. Moscow has yet to respond to the request. The two leaders have not met since the Russian jet was downed in November. Turkey and Russia are supporting opposing sides in the Syrian war.
Over now to the United States, where many parts of the Pacific coast have been dealing with fierce storms that have been blamed on the El Nino weather cycle. Whilst many welcome it as drought relief for California, the heavy rain is causing problems for some communities, like one town in Oregon. Let's look at this DWTV report for more on that.
It's not exactly what you'd expect to see on your morning commute. A massive sinkhole has shut down parts of Highway 101 in Oregon, backing up traffic and closing down several local businesses. No one was harmed when the road caved in, and cleanup efforts are already underway. But it could be months until the highway is back to normal. Several business owners have had to close their stores because of the fissure.
We're going to use this time to reestablish our employees throughout the community, and we're going to use this time to remodel.
Oregon has been plagued by heavy rains in recent months, and authorities say that has triggered erosion around the region. But they are still uncertain exactly what caused the collapse on Highway 101.
We take our second break now. Sports news is next. Saturday saw Leverkusen lock horns with bottom-placed Hanover. Well, the guests desperately needed a good result to improve their chances of avoiding relegation. Leverkusen, on the other hand, needed a win to stay well-placed in the hunt for Champions League qualification. We have some of the Bundesliga action in this DWTV report.
Was the first to feel the frustration after his 11th minute header came off the upright. Next, it was Ugo Almeida for Hanover, who failed to connect on a good through ball from Hotaru Yamaguchi. Just before the break, Kiesling got the timing spot on to put Leverkusen ahead. The lanky striker almost went to Hanover in the winter break. Coach Roger Schmidt will be very relieved he didn't. In the second half, Leverkusen continued the onslaught. Hakan Çalhanoğlu's shot fizzing around the goal line before being cleared. Shortly after, a clumsy challenge on Kiesling by Hiroki Sakai allowed Chicharito to make it 2-0 from the penalty spot. And some blistering acceleration by the Mexican won him the space to slot home Leverkusen's third. The home side cruising to victory against Thomas Schaaf's mediocre Hanover.
We've got a long way to go, especially if we want to secure a Champions League spot. But we're getting closer and we're not going to loosen our grip. It doesn't matter what I think or what others are talking about. This is the team I have and the team I'm working with.
Hanover were certainly not up to the challenge posed by Chicharito, who's now scored 21 times since joining Leverkusen this season.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. The African Union has recognized and rewarded the Gambia's efforts against Ebola with an award presented at the end of the Continental Bodies Conclave in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Drivers and commuters alike have welcomed government's decision to reduce the price of petroleum products. African Union leaders have voted to mothball plans to deploy 5,000 troops to Burundi and opted to dispatch a delegation to discuss the next step forward. And Moscow has called claims by Ankara that a Russian warplane has again violated Turkish airspace, baseless propaganda. That's all we have for you for the news at 10. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with GRTS and enjoy the rest of our interesting programs.